on a Saturday, shop, eat, go
Promised Land used to
tour or
do
something
that.
and,
Yeah, they have
They
a
used to
petting
have school
deal.
buses.
Um,
The thing about the agritourism, you know, like in Kennedy, they have, what is it, Dove Fest or something like that, where they have a big extravaganza for the opening day of dove season.
Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove, there it is. And that, I mean, it is hugely,
Yeah.
hugely successful. And they've been going, I'm gonna say 6-8 years. But we could look at doing something like that, opening day of some kind of season. I mean,
You know, the other thing that I think we sometimes don't key in on, and that are the historical sites in our county and in adjacent counties. My husband and I took a trip down to Helena. Interesting history in Karnes County.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wild Wild West, you know. And as I was down there, I was thinking, man, what an opportunity to have a tourism. Somehow you could tie in Karnes and Wilson perhaps together, because there's so much interesting history. You got the Poly Mansion out there. You know.
I think the Historical Society would be somebody to work with on that.
Oh, why couldn't we work with them? Why can't we
Yeah.
reach across and start pulling?
What this really brought out to me was totally thinking outside the box. You know, Henrietta and I have talked about the jail, and the thing is that from my perspective, I have an older daughter that, for right or wrong, is loves anything that might have ghosts or might have these apparitions. And the story I've heard about that jail,
Well,
I
they
would
had-
think that
they had
we
a
have
TV
people
show that came
overrunning
out some years ago,
the jail,
Sandy
trying to get in
Swanson.
there to see it, but it's not being marketed. You know, it's just sitting there.
Well, I don't
and-
think they do any, I don't think it's open anymore. They used to be open like on Peanut Festival or
Right.
something, but I don't think, and then I think it was every other
Okay,
Saturday or
but
something.
I would call those avenues of opportunities that we need to investigate, because if that brings tourism to our town, or we can put a package together
Yes.
that looks fun and interesting for someone to do on a weekend, or,
Would
you
it,
know.
let me ask you this, would it be something to kind of jump, you know, try to work with Peanut Festival maybe?
They have nothing to do with the jail, however.
No, but I'm talking about as far as like, you know, like during Peanut Festival, when you have all these people here, you know, have those trips, you know what I'm saying? I mean, something to work synergistically with the
Oh, I
Peanut
agree.
Festival.
The reason why they're not open right now is because they're having some problems with the roof and it's leaking in there. They did get some funds. The problem that they're having, not from the city or from you, the grant, the problem that they're having at the jail is that it has 3 different historical markers at that building. Most people only have 2, they have 3 allocations. And so they're looking to do some more activities and they're up for some other grants, but they have to fix the roof first. And so there's a new, I don't know if she's president, there's a new person that's helping them out, and I'll be more than happy to share.
There's a
with her.
time capsule over there that's supposed to be dug up sometime soon, because I remember we had to go
It's
dig it.
1960?
Well, no, we
The
did
one
one in high school, it was supposed to be for like 20-something years. And I only remember because I had to go dig it, and I was very vocal about my feelings towards it. but-
So how many, was it 25 years now? So 30
Something like
years?
that, but I was like a sophomore or something, and we went over there and,
But right now, we have an opportunity, my father's gone, Mary Helen's father's still with us, but he knows the history of Sullivan Springs, when there was a school there, when there was hotels there, there was 2 gins there.
Gin? Like.
Cotton gin.
Cotton gins.
Oh, cotton gin, sorry.
no, not for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bugsby.
Cotton gin.
I'm sorry, gin is the first thing I go for. I'm a city girl, I'm not a country girl.
No,
You
you
said
had to drink
gin.
it, you had to feed it. But, and people aren't marking down the history of these people, I'm just saying, I mean, Dad should have been interviewed 1,000 times about the old jail because he put so many people in it.
Right.
And
Sorry.
And, you know, just the stories I've heard about trying to hang a guy and he goes right through the floor, you know, people.
Couldn't even do that right.
You just can't imagine
Not much has changed.
what people find interesting.
Right.
And if they have to drive 25 or 30 miles and they're bored, it's watch TV or do
Well,
something
even
interesting.
the courthouse itself is a historical building. you
Yeah.
know.
oh, big time.
And just, Rexall House.
I mean,
there's all kinds of.
that stuff
potential.
needs to be done, but how do we work it into the budget where it's affordable? I mean, I mean, it needs to be done, it should be done, but how do you work it where
You just
it doesn't bury us, with a big old,
I think that you just gotta start with the baby steps.
Yeah.
What are
Work
the,
with
what are the points of attraction? How do we make a tour out of it? Where are the funds to get a bus, a tour guide, and the history behind it? I would say it just starts with the list.
And you know, when I
A
first
3 to
came
4 hour
here-
tour.
But get the history while it's still here.
Yeah.
You know, It's not gonna take any money to go sit down with Mr. Donahoe.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
it's
know how
all-
many plaques we have around the county. There are a lot of them,
Yeah.
historical.
And because it is historical, as we were talking about, and Tommy sits under the board, and I really appreciate you letting me do that, the hotel motel tax. That's definitely something that we can drive for tourism, but I think the Wilson County and the Floresville Historical Society need a little help and direction. And so maybe EDC can help them to formalize those
That's
ideas
kinda
and
what
come
I'm
up with a
thinking.
business plan,
Yeah.
so to speak, to say how, we know the big grandiose idea of what they can do, and you all can help to write a business plan to present to hotel motel tax, because there is funding there to do that. We funded $35,000 last year, and again this year to the parade for the Peanut Festival, which they haven't done in years, but hotel motel tax can do that. Hotel motel tax can also help tourism, because that's what it's for.
the hotel motel tax just started at 35,000 a year?
Uh,
And
Yes, I think.
For
it-
Peanut Festival?
For Peanut Festival, this last 2 years.
The last 2 years.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just think there's some opportunities there
Yeah.
that we're missing.
And when I first got here, I
It was
didn't meet with the lady, but I was told that there was a lady that had lived here all her life and wanted to set up a tour of different places and things in Floresville. I think maybe ill health or something, but, it's something that ought to be investigated. And like Carlos said, you start with baby steps and you don't spend money, but you put people together and our ideas and.
But I think that's something like during Peanut Festival, when all these people are, and you can have the bus outside of the jail, and grandmas can throw their little grandkids in jail cells and tell them this is what's gonna happen to you if you don't behave. Run them daycare during Peanut Festival for the kids up there.
Tommy, y'all still have the Farm and Ranch show here with Larry Marble? He was on KKYX. He moved into Sutherland Springs and had his farm or ranch over there.
Yeah.
That gets quite a bit of advert, at least the word Floresville and Wilson County is talked about on that show. I listen to it every morning at 6 o'clock.
What show?
Farm and Ranch on WI, Larry Marble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. that-
30.
You're not up yet, Scott. You're not up yet, or you might be coming home, but you're not up yet.
He's the guy that replaced Bill McReynolds, if y'all remember him.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that, being that we talk about the old jail, I think, don't they have artifacts in there?
Yes,
They do.
they did.
And my understanding is that they're gonna move them to the corner building. That's what they're gonna use now, where the probation was, because the probation.
The old
went to the-
library?
Yeah, that's what it was in the paper last week. I
Well,
understand that.
So the roof is going bad on the jailhouse?
Right.
The roof is not going, it's bad.
Well,
What's it gonna cost to fix it?
what's it gonna cost to fix it? I mean, is
But,
it?
Okay, those are
but-
things
Yeah.
that we need to.
But those are things that really Tommy needs to discuss with the judge, because
Yeah.
that's county property.
Yeah.
We can't do anything with it.
But we can
If they
work
can
together.
work with them, maybe, but that's all.
Well, it's
It
also
needs to be
preservation
preserved.
of our
Yeah.
historical
Yeah.
perspectives here, and,
Now-
some things are worth preserving.
Mom was maybe setting the sheriff's kids and somebody broke jail and they dropped through a manhole and she was laying in bed with the kids and they hit the bed, down the front door went.
Well, see, we need to
No.
talk to people like the Fullers,
No,
and
well,
get
they're
their
still here.
history from mom and dad.
Him and his sisters.
The other thing is that I know at one time, the
Your dad especially.
the Parks and Wildlife, the federal Parks and Wildlife used to come here when they went to the Rancho de los Cabros, you know, and there was a tour that they took, you know, on Saturdays.
Yeah, but that stopped 10 years ago.
No, it stopped, maybe 5, 6 years ago, you know. They stopped it, because eventually nobody, you know, wanted to pick it up. And, but I know that they've gotten some monies now, my understanding, you know, U.S. Park. They were gonna renovate part of that Rancho de los Cabros to the original of what it was back there. Now, I don't know if you've been in communication with those people from San Antonio that have the Rancho de los Cabros under their jurisdiction, San Antonio.
It's not Sisters of Texas, that's, what is that new agency?
No, it's
Daughters of the Republic or something like that.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're.
they're-
Yeah, it's somebody else.
Park.
Be tied to the missions and all in San
Yeah,
Antonio.
but the people are, I think they have an office there in Mission San Jose.
Well, Ram, there's a tunnel that goes from that old mission to the river, and I never could find it, you know where it's at?
Yeah.
Well, and there's that story too about I.D. Flores' drugstore, you know, where Trail Riders is now. And in Prohibition days, there is a step down and there's a place where they gambled and they had their booze.
I've heard
Y'all
other
didn't
stories.
And then you got the White House Cafe.
But see, those are great stories
Oh, yeah,
though,
yeah.
and could be developed into a really fun,
I heard stories about that Carl Leschenberg used to come to the office and tell us, but I'm not repeating his stories.
Thank you.
thanks for bringing that
But-
up.
He probably
Across the
thinks you
street
too.
had pretty
Oh, yeah.
wild history too. But, anyway, yeah, I mean, that stuff all, that's like a whole,
I think it's something we need to reach out to and try to
Yeah.
preserve
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
I think it's a step in
especially
the
the
direction.
Jailhouse Museum, I mean, that's.
For sure.
That's
Well,
pretty
there were
important.
fairgrounds,
Behind Lubyansky's or somewhere, right?
no.
They had racehorses or something.
There were fairgrounds, I think, out where the corner store is now,
Yeah.
in that area.
Well,
Yeah,
where Smith
Yeah,
has those homes
Yes,
right next to the
yes.
high school.
yeah.
And that area.
Mhm.
Robert Mills had a roping and everything back over there. Way back when.
In the old stockyards.
That was stockyards, Mighty Knolls.
So, you know, it wouldn't be, I mean, it would be fun to kind of recreate or get an old map, get old pictures from everybody and start putting the history of Floresville back together.
And it, you know, it just seems to me that if I can find, or we can find an entrepreneur that believes in this and say, I want to start a business and I want to visit with Ram and I want to visit with all these people that know about the history, and then I'm going to use my ingenuity to put these stations together and advertise, and we stay out of it, but we have visitors coming and buying stuff and spending the night, and the history gets told rather than gets lost.
And all of Governor Collins,
Uh-huh.
nobody's, such a great thing, and
Right.
Floresville's done nothing to preserve that,
And he was your first peanut king.
very first.
The Historical Society used to have a
But
lot
not
of
only him,
information.
but his brothers.
I don't know that
Oh,
you can
yeah.
attack, but those are the people that
Yeah.
have a lot of information.
Okay, I'll give Tommy her contact information.
Very well.
They're requesting they need a business plan, some idea to help them into that.
Moving to item number 10, discussion item, we have a presentation by Dan Banks. Dan, you have the floor.
All righty, well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I attended the hearing the other night, last Thursday night, and it was very interesting. It's something I had not heard before. It's a different tact on doing broadband development. But to give you a little history of who I am and what we do, I've been building fiber optic networks for a long time. both for utilities and for private networks. The first private network that I built was in Austin, Texas, using interlocal agreements, interlocal agency agreements. And there's about a 700-mile network around the entire city of Austin. It connects every University of Texas site. It connects every Austin Independent School District site. It connects every Austin Community College site. It connects every City of Austin site. It connects every Travis County site. It connects every Austin Community College site. And it connects all LCRA sites. It was funded by the school district through a bond issue, and each participating agency contributed their funds, and each agency, they're all tax-based entities. So the purpose of an interlocal agency agreement is to support tax-based entities so that you can build infrastructure for your own purposes without having to pay retail price for it. So each group then had 12 or 24 strands dedicated to them, and they could use it for whatever they wanted. And so that has grown and has prospered, and it's still being used today. It's been expanded, and it does a lot of work. I did the same thing for the city of New Braunfels. The New Braunfels School District paid for it. The city of New Braunfels utility company donated the pole attachments. And the city, the New Braunfels utility received free fiber for their own use. And so it was built and connected all the schools in New Braunfels and all of the city buildings throughout. Did the same thing for Richardson, Texas, up north of Dallas, between this, but that was an agreement between the city of Richardson and the Richardson Independent School District. And that was an underground project because Texas Utilities owned the poles and they wouldn't allow attachments. And so then I did another one very similar to that for the city of Denton. And so a lot of folks have always told me, they said, well, you can't do that. And I said, well, you know, the things that you know, some things are difficult, the things you can't do take a little longer, you know. So, but we've done a lot of those things, and have helped get broadband expanded to groups who needed it and had a need for it. So, but this is the first project that I've ever seen developed that intends to bring broadband to the citizens. I have never seen that before. The comparison, there's some cautions, I guess, that I need to mention. Number one, if the focus is for the triple play of telephone, cable TV, and internet, you're not gonna get any players. I can guarantee you Frontier and the cable TV company will never use any of that fiber. They want their own, and they'll build their own eventually, okay? But the reason they won't use any of that is because the network is more than just fiber. It's a network of electronics, of cabinets, of all kinds of things. And so, but what you can get with this network is you can get, you know, really good high-speed broadband. And you can get, you know, internet access that'll, you know, knock your socks off. You know, and you can get gigabit speeds or even more if you want to. So, so it has some pluses and minuses. So I think, Tommy, if y'all were to retain me and hire me for future services going on, what I would do is develop some scopes of work and give you like a not to exceed fee of what it might cost. I have a lot of people that work for me that are a lot less expensive than I am, okay? And they can do some of the research work and that kind of thing. So, but what I could do is once we've kind of set a game plan of what we're trying to accomplish, And working with the city, working with the county, working with the school district, working with Phelps, you know, I think I know all those people, that we can kind of come up with a game plan of what might be the quote best solution. And if the iWire 365 is the best, then, you know, let's go for it, you know, because it does have a lot of benefit, because the biggest benefit I see is that it has the real estate investment trust behind it. And assuming that trust is legitimate, and assuming it's substantial and can pay the bills, you know, that would have to be checked out first. I told Andy that I'm not a financial guy, so don't count on me to tell you if they're solvent or not, okay? But that would take a lot of due diligence, Tommy, to get that done, so.
Well, they mentioned the other night they had to spend, what, 200 million a year or something like that? It was a
Yeah,
substantial
that
amount of
kind of
money.
unnerved me when somebody brags that they got spent.
Yeah, there, well, I won't comment anymore, but, there's, but so anyway, that's an issue.
Well, what are we gonna have, in your opinion, with, I guess it's Frontier now that's putting all the fiber in as we speak? I mean, at the end of the day, what's gonna be available to us if we don't do anything?
With iWire 365, if you don't do anything with them?
Well, no, I mean, if, what he's saying is if we don't do anything with iWire, what's gonna be available with Frontier?
I have no idea, it depends on their business plans. You know,
But see, I don't think
they are, first of all, Frontier is a licensed common carrier, and they are controlled by the state PUC. And they have a certificate of convenience and necessity called a CCN. And if you don't have a CCN, you don't do business in Texas. You can't do the triple play, okay? You can't do telephone, cable TV, and internet. Now, the Texas legislature set aside the rules for ISPs. So if you're an internet service provider and all you're doing is providing connection to the internet, you don't need a CCN. And it's kind of like Wild Wild West, you know? You know, whoever's got the biggest and best, they can get there. Now, you still have right-of-way issues. You still have, you know, pole attachment fees, if those are applicable. One of the first questions I would ask for the city of Floresville is, you know, who's going to procure the permit to occupy the public right-of-way? Because there should be a fee for that. There is a fee for anybody else, like a pipeline company or anybody who is not a common carrier. The Texas Municipal League many years ago lost a lawsuit, and the state took over the permitting of utility spaces for common carriers. And cities no longer have the right to tell Frontier, you can't do that. Frontier can do it because they have a CCN, and that trumps the city's regulation. But the ISPs, it doesn't. So the city then has the ability to control and license those. And I've done a lot of work for the city of San Antonio in valuing their right-of-way. And what I've done is I've taken the good old appraisal district records and run analysis of all the property values along a certain route on both sides of the street, and say, okay, you're gonna use 1 square foot of right-of-way. So here's the price per foot, you know, what the average is. So you want the 1 square foot, here's your price per foot. And if you're in an industrial area, it's $1.50. If you're in Castle Hills or Alma Heights, you know, it's $5 square foot or $10 or more. So it gives the city some income comparable to how the properties are valued, which I think is a fair way to do things.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, because we just recently are having the USDA, and we have to talk about the easements, the city just recently spent some money with the engineers to have the right-of-way notified and certified, so that was really important, because we didn't have the documentation.
Oh, that's
before.
great.
So we had, actually, Intrepid did that for us, and I found out a whole lot in history along Goliad, because we're going to the sewer plant and some other things coming up and down. But I do want to ask your consultant, can I ask him two
Sure.
questions?
Sure.
Okay, one question would be, is that, it just seems to me, and I could be wrong, that iWire seems to be like a broker, so, I mean, if,
They're a middleman.
yeah, so I'm just saying, if they kept talking about Guadalupe, and I didn't know GVC was Guadalupe, there was another company that did somebody, that's the acronym, so I got that part. So if GVC is really interested and they wanna put it, then why do we need the broker? Because iWire, just for me, seems to be a broker in the middle of the deal. If GVC's willing to put it down, and just like Marbell, when they had Sprint and everything, just run some more cables and we'll sell them out. So that was my first question. And the second question is that they keep talking Salina, whatever.
Salina.
It's a new growing subdivision, and he mentioned that they were gonna be doing like 40 or 90 subdivisions. And in my last community, I did 24 subdivisions, so I know, that means a whole lot of virgin territory. City of Floresville is real built out, and so that ordinance that he's talking about, open up the, when you open up the ground, make sure you put the cable in. I'm not opening up the ground. And, my stuff downtown on 6th Street is, they did that in 1922. So, and that's where I need to get the, because the city's on D Street, I need that downtown. So my question would be, wouldn't it be better for us to do wireless and triangulate off my towers? I could do it wireless and not necessarily have to do fiber optics.
Wireless will never give you the capacity that fiber will.
So can it be a combination? Because the last mile, you should see Tony Baker and I mouth strap up, or maybe it's just my mouth, because I'm a woman, I don't know. When I found out the last mile really isn't like a little mile, the last mile is actually connection to the homes.
It's 300 feet.
So,
But it's just a term, the last
yeah,
mile.
Yeah.
but I'm thinking,
But-
last mile, I mean,
but,
that's not.
uh,
But, and you're.
You know,
Sorry, yeah.
my impression is that the FEDC has an opportunity to invest, but if we don't, they're still coming.
No, they
He
can't.
said the other night that he's made a commitment to Richard to come into River Bend, and if he's into River Bend, he's into the city limits of Floresville.
Okay,
How can he do that if we have to give him permission because he's an ISP?
You're gonna have to give him permission, because the city would have to, no, actually, along, this is 181, they'll tell you, it's actually text dots right away.
Yeah,
Text.
that doesn't apply to Texas right away.
Right, text dots right away. However, if the
That's-
city does an opposition and tell text dot, we're opposed to this coming in, text dot be like, fine, because they don't really care,
Yeah.
if the city's opposed to it, because it kind of like jumps in and out. So like, downtown better than I do, so 4th Street looks like a city street, but we all know that's text dot. Then you turn left and hit 3rd Street, and at a certain point, it turns you back into, so we're too,
But-
intermingled to say, that's yours and that's mine.
Can
I know,
I
I just-
respond to your questions? Let me answer those for you before I forget. First question you asked was the middleman, okay? Well, iWire 365 does present themselves as a middleman. I would refer to them, I guess, as a broker. But what they're doing is they are absorbing the risk on construction. I think, Tommy, I'm not quite sure of what their plan is, but maybe one of my action items would be to submit a proposed a program to them for Floresville and say, is this what you want to do? It appeared to me that what their program was is they want you to put up 300 grand to pay for their engineering. And then they'll have a package that they can bid out. And they'll say, okay, what's it gonna cost us to build? And so before you would do that agreement, you would have to have a firm commitment that they will build this. And I don't think they will build it until they have providers willing to provide, to light the fiber.
Yep.
And so, and even though and what you mentioned too, comparing us to Salina is apples and oranges, that's not a good comparison. So I'm cautious from the fact that he doesn't have a good track record of success in something such as this. Although I'm also eager to find out more, because I think it is a opportunity that hasn't been done before. And it's a business, it's more of an entrepreneurial business relationship than it is broadband fiber. Fiber is fiber, and everybody, there's a lot of people who know how to do that. But so I think it's important that we position ourselves with good policy and with good benchmarks that we want to accomplish as this thing moves along, so that you don't just jump into it blindly. You know, you jump into it with some thought and some trepidation to be careful that you know, fool me